Good afternoon, class. In today's video, what I'd like to do is to go over the factor label method. And so this one's not that long of a video. It's just more of just to get the example that I put in the notes onto the board and into a different form so that you can actually see how this looks in real life. Okay, so the factor label method is a method to convert quantities from one unit to another. Okay, so basically so in my example that I have in the notes, it says there I'm converting 1 mile into meters or something like that. So what I would do then is I would say, okay, let's do the conversions for a mile. Now here's the thing. First of all, you have to know how units convert from one to another. You actually have to know that relationship that they may have between units. But also, there's this thing called cross cancellation or cross multiplication. In this method, what you need to remember is that there's a quick drill that we can do, and that goes something like this. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 5 divided by 5, still 1. So, if I've got seconds divided by seconds, the answer would be 1. So, when given that, this is how I would label, the procedure for following how to complete a factor label method kind of conversion. So in this case, what I do is I start with my 1 mile, and then I draw this really long fraction bar all the way across the whatever I'm going to need, however much space I'm going to need. I draw a fraction bar that goes along that. Then, instead of using multiplication signs, I'll drop these vertical lines to indicate multiplication. I think the reason why is because sometimes those signs can get a little bit confusing, especially if you have to keep track of like a multiplication sign here and here, in the numerator and denominator. It might get a little bit tough. So in this method, you just drop a line down, and apparently that's just good enough for this method. So here we go. We say, okay, 1 mile, and I'm sure you can Google this, but there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So we put 5,280 feet over 1 mile. Now you might ask, okay, but why is the mile in the denominator and not the numerator? How do I know which one of these to put it in, the numerator or denominator? And that's a good question. The answer is simply this: your goal is to convert this unit of miles into whatever the unit is, which is, in this case, meters. So that's the answer I'm looking for in this example. So what you would do is you would say, okay, if miles is in the numerator, do I want to put 1 mile per 5,280 feet, or do I want to put 5,280 feet per mile? Because then miles over miles will give you 1, and that's what you want. You want the miles to cancel out so you can get to the new unit. That's the goal of this whole factor label method process. So let's continue. And we're just going to keep doing this over and over again until we get to the unit that we want. So there are 5,280 feet in a mile, and there are 12 inches in 1 foot. And of course, foot is in the denominator because I have foot in the numerator in the previous one. There's 2.54 centimeters in an inch, and inches in the denominator because inches is in the numerator from the last fraction that we were dealing with. And then of course there are 100 centimeters in a meter. Oh wait, but I pointed at the denominator first before I went to the numerator. What happened? The reason why I did that was because centimeters is in the numerator, and I don't want my unit in centimeters. I want my unit in meters. So therefore I have to put meters in the numerator. And if centimeters is in the numerator here, that means centimeters must go in the denominator there, because centimeters divided by centimeters is 1. Okay, so now that we've done that, what we can do is we can start canceling everything, and that's why I put these slashes through all of the different units. And so what you'll notice is that miles cancels with miles, feet cancels with feet, inches cancels with inches, centimeters cancels with centimeters, and all that I'm left with is meters, and that's exactly the unit that I want. So now I can just take all of these numbers, put them into my calculator, and then get the answer that I'm looking for, which is 1,609.344 meters. So that is the way to do the factor label method. This is another way of representing what the factor label method example that I showed you in the notes looks like how I would actually do this, like if I was actually doing a regular problem on this. So that concludes this video on a factor label method. Good luck in your studies. May the force be with you.